A public that can no longer distinguish between truth and fiction is left to interpret reality through illusion. Random facts or obscure bits of data and trivia are used either to bolster illusion and give it credibility, or discarded if they interfere with the message. This is the real danger of pseudo-events, and pseudo-events are far more pernicious than stereotypes. They do not explain reality, as stereotypes attempt to, but replace reality. Pseudo-events redefine reality by the parameters set by their creators. These creators who make massive profits selling illusions have a vested interest in maintaining the power structures they control. The words, images, stories, and phrases used to describe the world in pseudo-events have no relation to what is happening around us. The advances of technology and science, rather than obliterating the world of myth, have enhanced its power to deceive. Chris Hedges, Empire of Illusion, 2009. Humanity is under assault from pandemics, but not for the reasons that the mainstream sources portray. This book examines the claims regarding alleged contagious disease outbreaks, such as COVID-19, to shed more light on what they are, or perhaps more importantly, what they are not. The belief that germs from the natural environment or a laboratory are attacking us has led most of the population to go along with lockdowns, civil rights restrictions, unprecedented peacetime censorship, and more vaccines. However, when the foundational science is exposed and it is understood how the cases are created, no pandemic looks the same ever again. In line with our other content, we dissect multiple aspects of what has been put forward as scientific evidence for germ theory: alleged viruses, diagnostic tests, and quote, treatments, whether they be drugs or vaccines. It is all too often a world of mythology, with carefully constructed narratives designed to benefit the medico-pharmaceutical industry and other vested interests. Unfortunately, it pulls the public into a belief system that is not only counterproductive to health, but frequently life-shortening and sometimes deadly. We have endeavoured to illustrate this with famous case examples to demonstrate how the media promotes deception with fear-inducing sensationalised headlines that are often bereft of scientific evidence. Just as important is how the illusions are maintained, and we share our own experiences of what happens when doctors speak out against the prevailing narrative. The Final Pandemic is a title that announces that the concept of contagious and death-dealing germs is finished. Hopefully this helps people realise that there is no need to participate in these man-made crises ever again. The idea for this book arose from Professor Timothy Noakes, the esteemed sports scientist, author, and physician, who we are proud to call our friend. I first interviewed Tim in mid-2021, where we talked about science and censorship, corruption of the food and medical industries, and of course, COVID-19. Tim had already realised that the COVID narrative was nonsense and could see that the draconian responses were unnecessary and causing great harm to people around the world. However, the notion that SARS-CoV-2 did not even exist as claimed was a new idea to him, one that took the problematic pandemic to a whole new level of concern. Unlike most doctors who refused to even look at the material presented against the virus model, Tim's interest was piqued, and a copy of Virus Mania was soon on its way to his mailbox in Cape Town, South Africa. Perhaps his own established record of questioning establishment dogma in his pursuit of scientific integrity allowed him to journey into unknown territory once again. After reading Virus Mania, Tim was convinced that the evidence for contagious disease-causing particles, known as viruses, was indeed questionable. He became a virus skeptic and joined us as a welcome signatory to the Settling the Virus debate statement in July 2022. Tim's feedback on Virus Mania was very positive, but he reflected that at more than 400 pages and over 1,400 references, the size of the book alone could be intimidating, more akin to a reference tome. He pointed out that this was not a criticism, but potentially meant that people who would benefit from this information might be missing out. What he suggested was a book about half the size and written in a punchy format with straightforward language, and so the work on the final pandemic began. The book can be read from start to finish, but has also been arranged into subchapters that can be read as bite-sized standalone pieces. In other words, a book that is suitable for the coffee table or a nighttime read. Material concerning medical science and virology can be difficult to read, even for doctors and scientists, when it is outside their usual area. We have strived to make the language as simple as possible without compromising the underlying scientific principles. For those wanting to take a deeper dive, they can explore the many scientific papers that are referenced or read our more technical publications, such as A Farewell to Virology, Expert Edition, Mark's formal refutation of the virus model. And those who have been following our work for years can rest assured that this book is packed with all new material. In writing about pandemics, we are well aware that they need to be considered within a wider global context. In 2021, Mark and co-author Dr. John Bevan-Smith wrote in The COVID-19 Fraud and War on Humanity, "This assault on humanity relies on a Trojan horse to deliver the fraud into our minds and bodies, making possible the fulfillment of the globalist agenda of a population control grid with the apparent ultimate aim of controlling populations in every way possible." As John Titus also said in 2021, the bankers don't care about any sort of scientific event. They don't care about your health. They do care, however, about 24/7 fear porn and news coverage because it can drive behaviour, and that's exactly what they're after. So although the present book focuses on the misplaced beliefs regarding so-called contagious germs, we hope the reader will appreciate how this fostered belief is used to manipulate the public in areas extending far beyond the medico-pharmaceutical industry. Finally, this book is not about what makes people ill. Its primary purpose is to address the misplaced beliefs regarding the concepts of contagion and infectious disease pandemics. The cause of illness and tips on how to be well is dealt with in our other publications, including terrain therapy. Well, it's been over 18 months in the making, and now we are pleased to announce the publication of our new book, The Final Pandemic, An Antidote to Medical Tyranny. What you just heard was the introduction to the book, which in total is around 55,000 words or 240 pages in length, and supported by over 400 references. Hopefully you will agree with us that it satisfies the gap in the literature that we set out to fill. There is a lot of material packed into this book that dismantles not only the COVID narrative, but the entire concept of contagious disease pandemics. However, it has been designed for easy reading, with the aim to cover the foundational issues succinctly. For those wanting to take a deeper dive into these topics, there are, of course, the many references, and we've also included notes marked with an asterisk. Mark's feeling is that some of the best parts of the book are in these notes, so make sure you don't miss them. We've added some unique sections concerning our personal experiences, and the main text is structured as follows. Chapter 1 is called Creating a Pandemic and explains how new diseases are invented out of thin air with meaningless case definitions and fear-based marketing campaigns. Once these are sold to the public, the fake pandemic takes off. Chapter 2, Scapegoats for Disease, explores the various narratives concerning the blame attributed to animals, various groups of people, and even biolabs. We look at the media and journal papers that promote COVID-19 and other alleged contagious diseases, revealing how none of them can provide scientific evidence to back up these scary claims. Chapter 3, The History of Misplaced Beliefs, dives into the world of alleged contagion, including influenza and the common cold, and the suspiciously ignored human experiments. We also look at how germ theory tunnel vision has led to tragic mistakes in the past, and how this belief continues to cause harm in the COVID era. Chapter 4, Pandemics of Testing, is the most technical section of the book, but is the required reading to get to the foundational issue of how cases are created through tools such as the PCR. We've also included a subchapter called How to Create Virus Genomes, where we walk through a flagship SARS-CoV-2 virology paper to expose the missing virus problem in plain language. Chapter 5, Press Release Science, outlines the relentless pandemic marketing campaigns that distort biological reality. We explore how the COVID playing field was rigged from day one, with censorship of voices like mine, in contrast to the perverse financial rewards for many who were unquestioningly complicit. Also featured is the story of the Perth Group as an example of how devastating scientific refutations of virology are suppressed in order to maintain the models that serve the industry and other agendas. Chapter 6, All Pandemics Lead to Vaccines, investigates how vaccines, one of the greatest medical frauds of all time, are used to transfer wealth from the public to a small number of corporations and vested interests. We also look at how the number of vaccines are continuing to grow through propaganda campaigns that have become increasingly desperate, with militant control attempts signalling their eventual collapse. Our book's foreword has been written by Professor Tim Noakes, someone who is no stranger to questioning the supposed science that is promulgated by powerful industries, and someone who is no stranger to the wrath that comes your way when you do. Tim's foreword is over 3,500 words and could be a standalone essay regarding the refutation of not only COVID-19, but the virus model in general. In fact, we sent Mike Stone of Virology a copy of the book a few days ago, and half an hour later he messaged back, "I just read Tim Noakes' foreword and it has me pumped to read more." After reading our manuscript, we were honoured to receive not only Tim's thoughtful foreword, but also his continued support in exposing the pseudoscience that is used to sustain virology and fake pandemics. There is a great deal of momentum currently, and we are always grateful to be able to help more people than ever move beyond unnecessary fear and into a better understanding of health and well-being. The Final Pandemic is available through lulu.com in ebook, paperback, and hardcover versions, all of which are in full colour. The Final Pandemic is also available through Amazon with a Kindle ebook and a full colour paperback version. Please click on the links in the video description or go to drsambailey.com/The Final Pandemic if you would like to secure your own copy of the book. If you enjoyed this video, please visit supportdrsam.com